So this is the problem we are going to be solving today. Solving the complex number system, x squared minus 2x equals 35. And the x squared minus 2x is in absolute value bars. And we are also going to be using the quadratic formula up in the top right. And also for the complex number part of it, the I squared equals -1. So, to start the problem, we know from using absolute values prior to this that when you have an absolute value, there's going to be two possibilities. And one's going to be negative and one's going to be, the answer is going to be, one of the answers are going to be negative and the other is going to be positive. So, we're going to start with the positive. So we're going to have x squared minus 2x equals 35. And this one is very simple. It's going to be x squared minus 2x. We're going to bring the 35 over to the other side, so we're going to subtract 35. Just like that. Then we're going to factor this. So two numbers that multiply to -35 and add up to -2 are 7 and 5, and one is going to be negative and the other is going to be positive. So to get -2, we're going to start off with -7 and a +5. So we're going to have x minus 7 and x plus 5. You're going to set those both to 0, so x minus 7 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. So when you do that, x is going to equal +7 and it will also equal -5. And to check that, you're going to put 7 in this original equation right here. You're going to put 7 in place of x. And you're going to see if it equals 35. So 7 squared minus 2 times 7, which is 14, should equal 35. And it does, so that answer checks. And we're also going to check -5, so -5 squared is 25, minus 2 times -5, which is -10, so minus a -10 would be like adding 10, so 25 plus 10 also equals 35. So both of these answers check, and these are both real number answers. Now for the second part, we are going to have x squared minus 2x equal -35. And you're going to bring the 35 over to the other side, so you're going to add 35 to each side. And that is the equation we get. And when we try to use 7 and 5 again, it does not work because both the 7 and 5 would either have to be positives or negatives, and that won't work to get -2. So like I said in the beginning of the video, we're going to be using the quadratic formula. So x equals the opposite of b, which is the opposite of -2, which is 2, plus or minus the square root of b, which is 2, or -2, minus 4a, which is 1, and c, which is 35. All divided by 2 times a, which is 1. Then 2 plus or minus -2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 1 times 35 is 140, divided by 2. X squared, x equals 2 plus or minus 4 minus 140 equals -136. And we know that we can't have a negative underneath a square root, so we are going to be using the complex number system for that. So like I said earlier, I squared is equal to -1. So 2 plus or minus 136 I squared divided by 2 So two numbers that multiply to 136, and one of them being a perfect square, is 4, and 4 times 34 is equal to 136. So I have 4 times 34 times I squared divided by 2. We have 2 plus or minus. The 4 is going to jump out of the square root and become 2. And the I squared is also going to jump out, and we're going to be left with an I. And then we're going to still have the square root of 34, all divided by 2. And we can see that the 2's are going to divide out, and we'll be left with 1 plus or minus the square root I, the square root of 34. We're going to replace x with 1 minus I square root 34 and 1 plus I square root 34. So in your calculator, you're going to use the equation right here, x squared minus 2x equals -35, just like we did with the equation over here. And you're going to put 1 minus I square root 34 squared minus 2 times 1 minus I square root 34. And make sure you use parentheses with your calculator. And this is just checking to make sure that these are both correct answers. And when you do that in your calculator, it should check out to equal -35. That is with 1 minus I square root 34. So you do the same with 1 plus I square root 34. And again, when you put that into your calculator with the addition, the 1 plus I square root 34, that also equals. We have 4 solutions for this original equation, x squared minus 2x equals 35. And those are 7, -5, those being the real numbers, and the imaginary numbers are 1 minus I square root 34 and 1 plus I square root 34. And that is how you solve the problem.